Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to have a quick recap on what we have already done yesterday, and also we'll learn what are variables, how do we declare variables, what are the uses of variables, and what are comments and when to use comments. So we'll get started in few minutes. Till then we'll just wait for everyone to join. So let's get started. So first we'll have a quick recap that what we have covered till now, and then we'll proceed further. So yesterday we started with what Java is. We started with the introduction that Java is one of the most used programming language. It is one of the most trusted language as well. The syntax of Java is very user friendly, that even a naive person can get an idea that what the program is currently doing. So the syntax of Java is really very friendly to users, and it helps us to understand the inner working of the programming. And yesterday we also have a glance of how the code actually gets interpreted behind the scenes. So we have got an understanding that how the inner working of the code, means how the compilation and interpretation takes place behind the scenes. And Java, as we already discussed, that it is one of the most used language. So many companies like Google, Netflix, Uber use Java, and there are a lot more advantage of using Java. Now, as we discussed, the Java was invented by James Gosling at Sun Microsystem, and the first version of Java was introduced, or I can say that it was released in 1995. And as we discussed the the definition of Java, we usually see in Google that the definition of Java says that Java is an object-oriented programming language, Java is form independent, Java is concurrent, Java is robust, Java is very fast. But now points are not at all clear at this moment of time. Okay, so we already discussed yesterday that what platform independency is, what is how Java achieves platform independency and why Java is a very fast language. Okay, so we'll again have a quick recap on the complete execution steps, but before that we'll have a look on what is compilation and interpretation from this slide. Okay, so as we discussed that the compilation and interpretation, so the need of these two, the need of compilation and interpretation was converting our higher level language, that is Java, to the binary instructions. Okay, so the conversion of this, now the question is why do we need the conversion of the Java to the binary instructions? So as we all know that computers doesn't understand any of such language like English, French, or not even Java, because computers only understand the binary instructions. So there is a need of conversion of the high level language, that is the code we write, to the lower level language. Okay, so for performing this task we have got two ways. The first way is compilation, the second way is interpretation. So as you all can guess that compilation is performed by compiler and interpretation is performed by interpreter. Now again the question is, then what is the difference between them? So the actual difference between them is the compiler takes the complete source code. So let's say I am having few lines of code. So compiler takes the complete source code at once and compiles it to the bytecode. So compiler is doing the conversion at once, okay, in one go. While if I take the interpreter into action, so what interpreter will do, it will take the first line, it will convert it to binary instructions, and then it will again go and again take the second line, then the third line, and so on. Okay, so over here it is having one statement at a time, so it is translating one statement at a time from our higher level language to the lower level language. So as you can guess that this interpreter can take, or it will definitely take a higher execution time as compared to the compiler. So as we can conclude that compiler have a faster execution rate, then we saw that okay, then if interpreter is slow, then what is the need of using an interpreter? Because if compiler is faster than interpreter, then why not always use compiler? So there is a one disadvantage of using compiler, that compiler doesn't give us the feature of platform independency. Okay, so whenever I use a compiler for the execution or for the conversion of my high level language to the low level language, my program is platform dependent, and we already discussed that platform dependency means if I write one code, it must run on any platform irrespective of whether it is a Windows, whether it is a Mac, whether it is a Linux or any other operating system. So this is something called as platform independency, but by using compiler we don't get any platform independency feature. So this feature is given by interpreter. So if I am using an interpreter, I am getting the feature of platform independency, but I don't have the faster execution rate. But if I use a compiler, I do have a faster execution rate, but I don't have any platform independentness. So there are some limitations of both of them, and there are some advantages of them as well. Now in our next slide we'll discuss what are the advantages of them and how Java achieves platform independentness as well, and how Java is very fast as well, because we have already discussed that Java is fast and Java is platform independent as well. So in our next slide we'll discuss about how Java is fast and how Java achieves the platform independentness as well. Yes, so as I have already said that compiler gives us the feature of faster execution. Compiler gives us the feature of faster execution, while interpreter gives us the feature of platform independentness. So in Java, Java uses both the compiler and the interpreter as well. So Java takes the feature, or I can say that Java takes the advantage of the interpretation by means it takes the feature of platform independentness from the interpretation, and it takes the feature of fastness from the compilation. Okay, so Java uses both compilation plus interpretation. Now your question might be, how does Java uses these two? So in our next slide we'll again discuss about this, but I hope it's clear to all till now. Okay, so in this slide we are going to discuss how actually our source code gets compiled and what is the inner working when we execute our program, and how Java uses compiler and interpreter. So first of all we need to write a program. This is our first step. Then what we do, what we have in our mind that okay, I have written a program, I need to run it and will get a desired result. But what happens behind the scene is, whenever I write a source code, it first gets compiled. So it gets compiled by the Java compiler and then it gets converted to the bytecode. So this bytecode is nothing but a .class file, which means if I am having a file hello world.java inside which I am having a hello world class, and if I am compiling this, I'll get a hello world .class file. So this file is nothing but our bytecode, and this bytecode is used by JVM. So this bytecode is small and compact as compared to our source code, so it will be easier for the interpreter to execute it in a line by line fashion, but in a faster or in a less time. So again, that we have discussed that compiler performs the compilation and converts our source code to the bytecode, and then the interpreter uses the bytecode and gives us the desired result by interpreting it line by line. So now my question is, who uses or who gives us the feature of platform independency? So your answer will be interpreter. Compiler doesn't give us the feature. Okay, so interpreter uses what? Bytecode. So which means that bytecode is platform in Java, platform independent. Or what is bytecode? So we can say that no, our source code is not a platform independent, but our bytecode is platform independent, and this bytecode is then used by the interpreter and it executes the instructions given inside that in a line by line fashion and gives us the desired result. But one more thing, that what happens again at this step, what happens behind the scene is, whenever I run a program using a Java command, whenever I run a command, whenever I run a source code or whenever I run a bytecode, it will first search a class file. If class file is found, then inside the class file it will look for a main method. So the main method is our entry point to our code. So whichever instructions given inside the main method will get executed, and if the main method is not found, then our code won't get executed and will get an error that main method not found. Please declare the main method as public static void and main, and inside the parenthesis give the arguments as string args. Okay, so as we have already discussed about the syntax of the main method, what is the purpose of using the main method, so we don't have to worry about that. Yes, so one more thing, that when previously we wrote the code for the hello world, we used a class. So don't worry about this for now. We can just say that a class is a kind of container that hold our code for now. Okay, this is not the actual definition, this is not at all the actual meaning of the class, but for now we can just say that a class is a kind of container which hold our instructions and within which we have our main method. And when we move to classes and objects, we'll get a clear idea that what are the use of class, what is a class, what are objects, and then we'll understand it in a much better way. But for now it is not necessary for us to get into it, because I have seen some like even when I was learning, I have directly got into classes and objects, and that make my study very confusing. So I don't want you to get into classes and object at this moment, we'll just go in a simpler way, and then as soon as we proceed, or I can say that as soon as we have our basics strong, then we'll move to classes and objects, and then the object oriented programming stuff. So don't worry about the class, don't worry about the objects for now. We have already discussed about main method, and once again I'll just give you a quick starting point to our program. The program ends when the main method ends, and whenever we run a program, main method is invoked, or we can say that JVM always looks for the main method, and whichever instructions given inside the main method gets executed, or I can say that only the instructions given inside the main method gets executed. And the syntax we already discussed, that the main method is public static void. We'll see that what is the reason behind it, what is the public keyword, what is static, what is void. So don't worry about that again. And when we run a hello world program, JVM loads the bytecode of the hello world dot class, that is our bytecode, into the memory, and then invokes the main method. This point we already discussed. So I hope that's clear to everyone, and now we'll proceed to our today's topic, that is variable and comments. Okay, you are saying that it's buffering. Don't know actually why it is buffering. I've changed my platform as well. Okay, I'll proceed with the next topic, and you can just wait for a while, and then inside that we must have a main method which must be of public static void main. This is the syntax for declaring a main method. And then we'll write some instructions. So I'll say system.out.println and hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So in this way we can print anything to a console. I'll just escape :WQ for saving my file. Okay, now I'll do what? I'll just check first that whether Java is present or not. Okay, Java is present. Now I need to first compile my file. So I'll use the compiler using the command. I'll invoke the, or I'll call the compiler using the javac command. Javac, I'll give the file name. I'll say, hey compiler, could you please compile this file and give us the bytecode. Okay, so but before proceeding to this, what I will do is I'll first show you the list of the file present inside this. So there is only a hello.java file. Now I'll say, hey compiler, could you please compile my hello.java file. Compiler says, okay, done, there was no error, it has been compiled fine. I'll again do ls, and now can you see that there is a hello.class file. Okay, so this hello.class file is nothing but our bytecode, and we have already discussed about this, and also in our previous session we used the Windows for checking this. So the command for both Windows and the Mac was same. So this says that we are having a platform independency as well, and I can run this hello.class file on any of the operating system. I just need a JVM to run this. So I can say, hey, Java hello. So now I am invoking the JVM, that is our interpreter for running our hello file. So as soon as I run it, we get an output as hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone, the execution steps. Now we'll proceed further with our today's topic. So today's topic is variable declaration. Now from today onwards we are going to use an IDE, that is Eclipse. You can use any IDE of your choice like Eclipse, IntelliJ, it's up to you, but I am going to use Eclipse, in which we will be writing our code, and we'll see, means from now onwards we'll proceed with that. Okay, so now our first topic is variable declaration. So my question is, what is a variable? So you might answer that, okay, variable is something whose value might get vary or might vary, correct? So this is nothing but our variable. Why do we use a variable? Okay, let's remember about the mathematics that we used to do in our school. In school we usually used to say that let a is equals to 0. So what we were doing, we were giving 0 to a, we were assigning some value that is 0 to a. So this is nothing but we were declaring a variable. The name of the variable was a and the value was 0. So we were giving some value to a particular variable. So this is nothing but a variable declaration. Okay, so in Java as well we can do the same. We need to define a variable. We need to, if we want to store some value, I can use a variable, I can store the value inside it and I can use it whenever I need it. But one thing again, we need to make sure that we give a particular type to a variable. So over here the syntax of variable is we need to give a type, then we need to give a name, and then we need to give some values to it. We'll see. Say main method. Okay, so now our setup is complete. I can give anything. I can give system.out.println like this. I can say hello all. I can save my file. I can run and I get the output as hello all. So this system.out.println, let me zoom this. Yes, so this system.out.println is nothing but it is used for printing something to our console. This is our console. Previously we were printing on our terminal. So this system.out.println is used for printing something that is declared inside this parenthesis, and this ln means after printing this you need to move our cursor to the next line. So now if I say system.out.println and second print statement, so now our output will get printed in our next line, because as soon as this get printed the cursor gets moved down to the next line, and again after printing this second print statement the cursor will get moved to the next line. Can you see this over here? Yeah. So now if I remove this ln, what will happen? The cursor won't get moved to the next line, which means the second print statement will be placed or will be printed adjacent to hello all. See, so this is the difference between println and print simple print. And if now again the second line is having println, which means a cursor will be at this moment, at this line. Okay, if I again remove this and save this, if I run this, now cursor won't get moved to the next line, it is over here. So now I hope that you have got a proper idea that what is println and print. Now we'll proceed with the variable declaration. So as I said that we need to define a type of a variable. First we need to give the name of a variable and then we need to give the value to it. Okay, so now in this type I can say that instead of this type there are different types that we can declare. For now don't worry about this, that what is int. In our next session or in our next class we'll discuss about the data types as well, but for today's session you can ignore this. You can just memorize this, that you need to define a variable with this type int, then you can give the variable name. So let's give a and give 0. Okay, and after every instruction you need to give a semicolon, which says that your instruction is ended or this is a particular statement that you need to execute. Now a is declared. Now I can print the value of a like this. Now what will happen behind the scene? Is just give me, yes, so behind the scene our source code first gets compiled. Our source code will first get compiled gets converted to the bytecode. Then the JVM looks for the bytecode. Okay, bytecode is found, then searches for the main method. Is the main method is there? Yes, it is there. Execute the line or execute the instruction written inside it line by line. So the first line says that you need to declare a variable of a and give it a value of 0. So in the memory it will assign some size. We'll see what size do int variables get, but it will assign some size for this particular variable. So now in the memory there is some size allocated. Okay, there is some memory allocated, and this memory, this a is pointing to this memory address, and I am storing 0 at this point. Okay, so this memory is having value as 0 and this a is pointing towards this memory address. So whenever later in our course or later after few lines, if I invoke a, what will happen behind the scene? A is pointing towards a memory location. Let's say the memory location is 100 or 1001. So a is pointing to 1001. Now what is the value over here? 0. So this is how it fetches the value. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. So over here a gets a value, store means a memory is allocated and a is pointing to that memory address, and the 0 is stored at that particular memory address. Done executing this. Now move to the next instruction. The next instruction says that okay, you need to print something inside the console. Now what you have to print, that a will tell you. So again, now a is pointing to a memory address and this memory address is holding 0. So it will print 0. I hope this is clear to everyone. Then this instruction is again completed. Then move to the next line. It says that okay, all the instructions are completed inside the main method. Terminate the program. And this is how the execution takes place in Java. So now we'll just practically understand this. Now if I run this, we get a 0 in the console, and though since it is a ln, I have used the print ln, the cursor moves down to the next line. So now it's up to me how many times I invoke this particular variable. And I can declare another variable as well. Int b is equals to 45, int c is equals to 67. It's up to us, and I can call all of them. Someone is asking that Suraj, will compilation can be done without main method? Yes, so in our previous video we have already discussed that in compilation, compiler doesn't look for the main method. So our program can get compiled without the main method as well, but it won't get executed because JVM always looks for the main method first. I hope your doubt is clear. So now we are able to print the 3 values, and this says that we have successfully performed 3 variable declaration. We have given them some values. So variable declaration, we have just declared some variable. Now again there are lot of stuff that we need to study. So we have discussed the first point, the syntax. Yes, the literal or expression point is still remaining. We'll be covering it in a while. And the next point is evaluated to a single value. Okay, yes. So now before moving further, I'll just explain you something called as reinitialization of a variable. So when we were doing mathematics in our school, we used to say that let a is equals to 0, but we always knew that a's value will get changed at the end of the proof or at the end of the solution. So which means we used to reinitialize the value of a, or we used to reinitialize it again and again. So this is something called as reinitialization. So if I want to change the value of a, I can reinitialize it. This is the line number 5, the line number 7 over here, the line number 8 over here is initializing. but I now want to reinitialize. So for reinitializing, you don't have to give any data type because the data type is already allocated to A. So no need to reinitialize it. Oh, sorry, no need to give the data type to it. So at the time of reinitialization, no type is required. So I want to reinitialize it to 1616. Now if I run this, it gets reinitialized and we get the value as 16. I hope this is clear to everyone. And one more thing, in Java we cannot declare two variables of the same name. So I cannot say int a is equals to 78 because it will say that duplicate variable or duplicate local variable at this time, because a is already being defined at line number 5. So that's the reason why if I use int at line number 6 for reinitialization, it will assume that I am declaring a new variable. So for reinitializing, I don't need to define any type. Okay, so now we'll proceed. And one more thing, Java is case sensitive. So this a, and if I say this as capital letter A, so now this both A are different to them. Okay, now we won't get any error. Okay, so if I say that system.out.println capital A, so first we'll get 16, then we'll get 78, then we'll get 45, and then we'll get 67. And see, the output comes out to be what we expected: 16, 78, 45 and 67. So we have also discussed that that Java is case sensitive, what is variable declaration, how to declare a variable, what is variable reinitialization. Okay, someone is asking that what happens to 0 then in memory? Will it be deleted from the memory? It gets overwritten. See what happens. Yes, what happens, as I said, now I want to declare a variable of type int to 0 in the memory. What will happen? Space, let's say 1001 gets allocated to this. Now A is pointing to 1001 and we need to store 0 over here, but later when I want to change this 0, now after some times or after few lines of code, I say that A is equals to 55, which means I am reinitializing it. So what it will do, okay, I need to assign 55 to A. Okay, it doesn't know that what value was there previously. So what it will do is, okay, where A is pointing to this particular memory location. Let's go to it and then store 55 to it. So overwrite this, store 55 over here. Instead of 0, now what is there? 55 is there. So whenever I invoke A, it will again point to the same memory location, but the same memory location is having 55. And Sachin, you are saying that typecasting. So typecasting will be explained when we complete the data type. We don't even know that what are int, what are long. So we cannot complete typecasting for now. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all. What happens to previous values of A. And now we'll proceed with what is literal and expression values. So over here I have defined two words, literal and expression. So this literal and expression means what? Literal, with the name itself you can say that literal or exact some values. Literally you are giving some value like A is equals to 0. Is it a exact value? You will say yes, obviously it is a direct value. 0, 1, 10, 1000, -1, they are direct value. Okay, they are not referring to anyone. You have given direct value, it will directly allocate it to A. Now if I say what is expression? Expression means it is evaluated to a single value over here. Now again this is not clear. Okay, I can understand. A is equals to 20. This is a literal one. Now if I say B is equals to 30, it is again a literal. But if I say B is equals to A, so is it a direct value? You will say, you might say yes, but just give it a thought again. B is referencing to A. Okay, B's value is equals to A, so it need to get referred to A's value. So it is referencing to another variable, or it is not directly getting executed or directly getting its particular or direct values. So it is referencing to someone else values. So this is nothing but an expression. So this is an expression, and these values, the direct values like 20, 45, 67, 78 are literal values. I hope this is clear, and we'll again see this in practical. Let's move to Eclipse. Okay, so now if I say int, we already have few variables. I'll just delete this one, make it as 16. Now see, 16 and 45, the direct value. But if I say int a is equals to 16 and b is equals to a, now what is the value of a? It is 16, because it is referencing to a's value. So now if I change a's value over here, b's value will automatically get changed. So this is expression. Now again, keep one thing in mind, that after printing the value of b, and if I say int, or if I say over here only after line number 6, a is equals to 100. Now give it a try, that what will be the value of b. The value of b is still 17. Now we'll see that what is the reason behind this, and you might have probably guessed it already, but then too we'll understand. A got allocated or is pointing to a memory location 1001, stored a value 17, b is referencing, I said that b is equals to a. At the time of the declaration, okay, what happened, b got allocated a memory. I said that store the value that is equal to the value of a, means now you want to go to the variable a and look what value it is having. So it will store 17 over here. Now after this, I change the value of a is equals to 100. What happened? It again moved down to this location and it changed it to 100. But does it affect b? Because b already got assigned to the value that was given to a previously. So this is the reason why b's value is not getting changed. So I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so now we'll proceed. Yes, we have discussed about what are variables, what are the use of variable, because we use a variable for storing it and then we can recall it anywhere in our program. What are the difference between literal values, expression values, how do we define them, and we also saw what is reinitializing. Okay, now one thing, that there are three kinds of variable: instance variable, static variable, local variable. So I don't want you to worry about this three kinds of variable for now, because for this instance and static, we'll cover this when we are learning or when we are doing objects. So it will be clear at that moment of time, and when we move to methods, we'll discuss about local variable. So don't worry about this, because if I do take this concept for now, then you will be like memorizing this, and I don't want you to memorize it, I just want you to understand it. So we'll see instance, static and local variable later when we proceed to that particular topics. Now we'll see comments. So what are comments? So comments are nothing but, like for example, I'm having 4 lines of code. I want that my compiler or my JVM doesn't execute 2 lines of it. So what I can do, I don't want to delete the particular code, because for later use, I can use that particular code and I want to compile it after 10 days. I might use them. So I don't want to delete that particular lines of code. So I can use comments. Using comments will make the line ignorable. Okay, if I am having comment at a particular line, the compiler will ignore it, so it won't compile it and it won't reflect it to the bytecode. So the particular line gets ignored by the compiler, so it won't get executed. So now it is not supposed to be always the code. Okay, in the comments you can give anything like a random words or your explanation to the code. We'll see what are the uses of code as well, but for now we'll see how to declare a comment. So now if I want to comment B, or I want to comment the declaration of B, I can use a single line comment like this. I want to also ignore this, means I also want to comment this line, and I also want to comment this line. So this is how we comment a single line. And if I now run this, only A will get printed and A's value is 17, because B didn't got initialized, A didn't got reinitialized, and we didn't print B because we commented the particular line. So this line is commented and ignored by the compiler. So we don't have any bytecode for this, so how come JVM can execute it? So JVM cannot execute it at all. And there are multi-line comments as well. So let's say I want to comment all the 4 lines like this. Okay, now there can be hundreds of lines like that, so it will be difficult for going to each and every line and giving 2 forward slashes. So what we can do is, I can give a forward slash and asterisk from the start or to the line from which I want to comment, and at the end of the lines I can again do asterisk and the forward slash, which says that okay, from this you are starting a multi-line or multiple line comments, and whenever this and this matches, or anything between these two syntax, between this asterisk and forward slashes, will get commented. So if I am having 4 lines between that, they will get commented. If I am having 10 lines, they will get commented. Okay, so it's up to us how much or how many lines we want to include inside the multiple line comments, but you just need to use this syntax. So you can use forward slash and asterisk for giving the multi-line comments. And now the question is, why do we need comments? The one reason we saw that okay, I need to use this particular code later, so I am commenting it. Another use is you need to document your code. You are handing over your code to a naive user or to anyone, like to your team lead as well. So you need to explain the code, that what you have done over here. So instead of giving or instead of providing any other notes like that, what I can do is I can say that okay, in the next line I have declared a variable B. This is just an example. So you can use comments for documenting your code, which the documentation makes your code much more readable. I can say that over here, performing variable declaration. So it's up to you what comment you give, but it makes our code more readable as well. I hope you got the use of comment. Why do we need comments? What are the benefits of comments, and how to give the comments in Java, and what are the types of comments, the multi-line comments and the single line comments. And if I'm having many lines of code that I want to, or many lines of documentation that I want to comment, I cannot go to each and every line and give 2 forward slashes. It will be very cumbersome for us. It will be very difficult to move to each and every line of the code. So we can use multiple line comments at that time. So I hope this is clear to all. We can use comment for commenting our code as well, and for commenting the documentation. So if I now run this comment won't affect our code. Our code will run how it was running previously. But if I don't give inside the comment, it will give us an error that, hey, what are you doing? There is no keywords or no syntax, because Java doesn't have anything which can, like, Java cannot compile this stuff, because as I said that in Java or in any other programming language, we have some set of rules defined. For performing this task, you need to use this kind of syntax. So there is no kind of syntax that says that performing variable declaration. So if it is a comment, you need to provide it a comment in a forward slash, two forward slash as a single line comment, or use a forward slash and asterisk. It's up to you. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so big learn, big earn. I have question, do we get these slides? No, you won't get slides, but if you want to like have a recap of the videos, you can just go to the channel and again have the recap of the complete stuff. So shall I explain the comments again? Okay, so I hope today's session is clear to everyone. We started with how execution takes place, what was the difference between compilation and interpretation, what are the executions or steps conducted in Java behind the scenes, how the execution takes place actually, and also then after that we move to that main method, that JVM always looks for the main method, how the main method is used for performing the task, that each and every instruction inside the main method will only get executed, and if all the instructions are executed, then our program will terminate. So this was the use of the main method. As we can say that main method is the entry point to our code. And after that we started with the variable declaration. We saw how to declare a variable. We used to give, means we need to give a type of the variable, we need to give a name of the variable, and for giving the values we have two ways. First is literal type and another is expression. So we saw that for literal we can means literal means we need to give the direct values, and for expression it means it is referencing to someone else values. And then we saw reinitialization, and after that we saw comments. What are the use of comments? We can use it in documentation, we can use it to comment a particular line of code, we can use single line comment for a particular line, we can use multiple line comment for multiple lines of means if I want to comment multiple lines. Okay, in single line comment, your question is how it only printed 17. No, it didn't, means because I commented several lines like this. I commented all these lines, that's the reason why it printed 17. See, if I uncomment this line, then it will execute that line as well, so it will reinitialize it. But if I comment this, which means that, hey compiler, you have to ignore this line, you don't need to reinitialize the variable a. So now if I comment that particular line, it will again give 17, because I am commenting the particular line number 8 which is having the reinitialization of a. So I don't want my compiler to reinitialize it, so that's the reason why it is giving us 17. Okay, you are asking the shortcut for giving the comments. Okay, so in Eclipse, if you are using Eclipse, what you can do is, okay, let me just remove the comments first. If you are using Eclipse, what you can do is you can select a particular line, or you can move to the particular line and you can use command slash or control slash for giving the single line comments. Or for multiple line comments you can use control shift slash. So it works like that. Yes, control shift slash. Okay, so great. When we or comment the line, that line is not going to execute. Exactly, Samarth, when we are commenting a particular line, that particular line won't get executed because we are asking our compiler, hey compiler, you don't have to look into this particular line. Okay, I have defined it for my purpose, you don't have to bother about that. You go to the next line, so it won't execute it. You are using IntelliJ. Okay, so I don't have any exact idea of IntelliJ. What I do is I use the feature, or I use the shortcut keys of Eclipse. I make the shortcut key copy and just go to the IntelliJ, and I use the Eclipse shortcut in IntelliJ as well. Yes, Eclipse is free, you can use it. Any other doubts? Do you have any other doubts? All right, then what we can do is, for now I'll just stop the streaming. I'll just stop the streaming and we can catch up tomorrow at the same time, that is 7:30, and we'll move with some new topics. As we have already discussed that we are going to learn about data types. So what is this int and all, and then after completing the data type, then we'll see typecasting. So because see, the reason is, if I directly move to typecasting, then you will ask me, hey, what is type, what are the types that you are casting to it? So you don't worry about typecasting and all the concepts that are there. First we'll go step by step and then we'll complete each and every concept like that. So I hope this is clear to everyone, and we'll catch up tomorrow at the same time. Thank you so much, and I am stopping the stream now, and if you have any doubts, you can just ask your doubt in the comment section. I'll definitely answer to it. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Have a good day.